Yeah, hi there. In this GCP lab, we are going to work on the Kubernetes on GCP. So basically, we'll be provisioning a Kubernetes cluster using Kubernetes engine on GCP, and then we will deploy and manage Docker containers using kubectl command. So first and foremost, we have to check the APIs are enabled in GCP. So these are the two APIs that we need to check: Google Kubernetes Engine API and Google Container Registry API. So let's go to the console and search for API and services. Yep, let's click here and then we search for these APIs. We will get a list of APIs which are enabled by default or not enabled. So basically we are going to filter it. So Google Kubernetes Engine API. So that is the first API that we are checking. If it is enabled, then we should see something like this where it says disable API. If it was not enabled, then we would have got a button saying to enable the API. Just click there. Now since it's already enabled, so we don't have to do anything here. Let's go back and search for the another API which is registry, Google registry, container registry API actually. So this API is also enabled. Now let's go back. So APIs are enabled. What we have to do is now we have to create cluster. Before that, we are going to set zone. So zone is set as uscentral1a. Now we are going to use this command gcloud container clusters create name of the cluster. Let me just correct the spelling. It should be, let's say, front web front end. Zone is uscentral1a and number of nodes is 2. So by default it creates a 3 node cluster, but we want a 2 node cluster. That is why I have specified number of nodes as 2. It will take a couple of minutes to get the cluster created, so let's wait for it. Okay, the cluster has been created. We can see on the top in UI the cluster is created, 2 node cluster. Similarly, in the bottom in the shell, now we can find out the version using kubectl version command. So that's the version of the Kubernetes that is being used. Now let's proceed further. We can, so basically these nodes are nothing but the virtual machines. If we want, we can see those virtual machines. We can go to the console, click on the cluster name, and we should see a tab as nodes. And once we click on that tab nodes, we should be able to see those 2 nodes. Yep, these are the 2 ones. Otherwise, from the Cloud Shell also, we can see just like any other virtual machine, gcloud compute instances list. So this is going to list the virtual machines which are already created under this project. So that is fine. Now we are going to create a deployment. That is, we are going to deploy an Nginx container using the image of Nginx 1.17.10. So let's check it out. So kubectl create deployment Nginx and it's going to create the deployment. So we are going to check it out in the console about this workload. So we can see this deployment is created and kubectl get deployments command also gives detail about this deployment. Now it's a single. If you want to find out number of pods that got created, we will see kubectl get pods. So it created one pod. So that's a pod. In the console, if you go to the deployments and you scroll down, you should be able to see other things like container logs, pod which is running. Next is we are going to expose a service so that this pod can be accessed from outside. So kubectl expose deployment. Name of the deployment is nginx, and we are going to expose port 80. The type of the service it's going to create is load balancer. So this is done. So if you run the command kubectl get services, we should see the service which got created, load balancer. Now external IP is not assigned yet, it's in the process. That's why you see pending here. Meanwhile, we can go to console and click on this services and ingress. We should be able to see the same service there, external load balancer. If we click there, we should be able to get see more details about this. So what it will do, it will basically do the port forwarding of port 80 to the target port 80 on pod. So let's check whether external IP got created or not. We will run the same command again. External IP got created. Let's copy it and check it in the browser. And we are able to get the results. So that is fine. So it means we are able to connect to the pod. Now, if you want, we can scale the deployment. Currently, there is only one pod running. If you want to, we can scale it up to, let's say, 3 pods. So the command is kubectl. Let me just clear the screen first. Kubectl is scale deployment. The deployment is nginx, and we want 3 replicas. So we'll give dash dash replicas 3. So basically, this will create 2 more pods. So if we do kubectl get pods, we should see 2 more pods. Then kubectl this is a deployment. It is having 3 nodes now. All 3 are ready. That's a replica set. Now we can go and see whether we can still access it, because now we have 3 pods running. So if we just refresh, we are going to get the same screen. So it means this external IP, it's same, it has not changed even if we have got more pods. So in this way, in this lab, we have created a cluster, and we have deployed a container, and then we did the scaling up of that particular container on GCP. So that's it in this lab. Thank you.